If you spend just a little time on the internet each day, as most of us do, you'll almost certainly come across famous internet mysteries that kept internet sleuths hard at work, sometimes for decades at a time. These efforts came with varying degrees of success, as some internet mysteries were solved within a matter of hours, while others are yet to reach a conclusion. One such mystery unfolded in Paris, France on the 27th of April 2022, when thousands of people in the country found that they were unable to connect to the internet. It would then come to light that various underground fiber optic cables had been damaged by vandals, causing losses to internet service providers, local businesses, and internet-based companies. This affected internet connectivity from all across the country, causing an outage for thousands of people. Upon further investigation, it was found that the cables weren't merely damaged, but had been entirely severed, and it was theorized that the vandals had to have had a certain amount of expertise in order to carry out their sabotage. Since the attacks were carried out at night, investigators were certain that they were dealing with professionals, since they would have needed to know the exact locations of the underground cables. It was also discovered that the attacks had been carried out with precision and planning, as cables were severed in several areas within minutes of each other, suggesting that the damage was caused by teams of people rather than an individual in each area. Since selections of cables were missing, new fibers had to be added to each severed end, a task that takes a long time to complete, and hence investigators were certain that the vandals sought to interrupt internet connectivity for as long as possible. Despite intense investigation, the police were unable to find any clues as to who was responsible for the damage, though there were theories that the attacks had been carried out by ecologists who expressed anti-digitation stances. This theory was short-lived, since groups who carry out these kind of attacks usually claim responsibility for their actions, which wasn't done in this case. To this day, there's been no further developments in the case. Investigators are still at a loss as to who may have been responsible and what their motive may have been, and it seems that this is one internet mystery that may remain unsolved forever. In 2010, an app called Sleep as Android was released, and soon it was downloaded by thousands of Android users who use the app to track their sleep patterns, choosing soothing sounds to fall asleep to and set an alarm to wake them up at the right moment in their sleep cycle. But another feature that the app offers turned into an internet mystery that kept Reddit users on the edge of their seats. A woman named Jenny, who has the Reddit handle RedWantsBlue80, used the app in 2013 to record audio while she slept. Before going to bed on the 30th of December, she found something horrifying in the recording from the previous night. At the time of the recording, Jenny was at home with her 3-year-old son, and there was no one else present in the house. She decided to go through all the recordings on her phone so that she could delete outdated ones, when she came across the recording from the night before, which contained audio that seemingly shouldn't have been there. For the first few hours, she could only hear a strange clicking noise, which she couldn't identify. At first, she thought it may have been her fan that was making the sound, but she soon realized that the sounds were originating close to her phone, which wasn't anywhere near the fan. At one point in the recording, Jenny can be heard asking, "What are you doing?" followed by a male voice that replies, "Nothing."
What are you doing? Okay.
Knowing that there were no men in her house that night, she panicked and posted the audio to Reddit. Some users suggested that Jenny was merely mumbling in her sleep, but it's clear in the recording that it is indeed a man's voice, a sound that Jenny says neither she nor her son could have produced. Others suggested that someone had broken into her house, since the clicking noises sounded like someone going through her belongings, and when Jenny asked them what they were doing, their natural response would have been to say nothing. But there were no items missing from the house. Adding more intrigue to the mystery was another sentence spoken at the end of the recording. Again, a man's voice could be heard saying, "That's them," or something similar, though Jenny had no idea what this could have meant. Despite many more suggestions, Jenny never solved the mystery, and she's since moved into a new house, after which she updated Reddit by saying that she would no longer be using the app to record herself. 11 years ago, a Reddit user caught the attention of internet sleuths when they added a post about a creepy experience that they and a few of their friends had while exploring in North Wales in the United Kingdom. They explained that there were train tracks that ran along a highway on the country's coastline, and that these train tracks passed over the road in some areas via small concrete bridges. On the night in question, he and his friends decided to explore one of these bridges after they found a manhole cover that would allow them entry, and what they found horrified them to the point where some of them vowed to never return. The group was already on edge after entering the bridge, as there wasn't much space to move around, and it felt very claustrophobic. But they continued on their way, eventually making it halfway to the next bridge. This is where things took a sinister turn. One person in the group told the others that they could see something in the darkness up ahead, and they decided to take a closer look. But the poster stated that they now wish they hadn't. What they found was a lawn chair that was facing a wall containing a torn page from a magazine. On the page was the image of a woman, but they discovered that the woman's eyes in the photo had been cut out, presumably by the person who used the chair. They also discovered an item that contained what they believed was biological material on the floor near the chair, but luckily they found no one lurking in the tunnel or near the items that they found. They instantly felt that something wasn't right and decided to leave as quickly as possible. They ran headlong through the darkness, and when they finally made it out, they kept going. This left them with a lot of questions, and so they decided to ask the Reddit community what their thoughts were. Some people suggested that the items belonged to a homeless person who lived under the bridge, but the poster explained that in the area where they live, there was only one homeless man who was known to everybody, and he had just passed away. Bravely, the poster decided to go back under the bridge one more time, and they posted photos of their second visit, but they were unable to uncover any further clues, and it's still unknown who the chair, the picture, and the biological material belonged to. In recent times, there have been many posts on the internet of people who claim to be time travelers, and they usually try to prove this by predicting events that are to come, but more often than not, they're quickly proven to be frauds. However, one such claim left internet sleuths scrambling for answers, until one YouTuber took it upon himself to investigate the mystery. It all began in 2006, when a man named Sergei Ponomarenko was found walking the streets of Kyiv in Ukraine. When he stopped a police officer to ask for directions, it was noted that he seemed disoriented and was wearing clothing that seemed to be from a long time ago. When questioned about his identity, he produced his passport, but this document was also outdated, as it was a Soviet passport from the 1950s. Furthermore, he claimed to have been born in 1932, but he didn't look a day over 25 in person, or on his passport photo. Understandably, his claims were met with skepticism, and when questioned further, he claimed that he had decided to take photos of the city, but a strange incident saw him transported into the future. When his old camera was inspected and the photos developed by an expert, investigators found images of Sergei and a woman from Kyiv, and it would appear as though they were in the 50s. But most notably, he was wearing the same clothes that he was found in. One of the photos showed an object in the sky, and Sergei claimed that it was an alien craft that brought him to the future. Investigators soon learned of a man by that same name that had gone missing in 1958. When they eventually found the man's girlfriend, they realized that she was the woman in Sergei's photos, and she told them that he had gone missing but returned 2 years later, only to disappear for good again years later. She then added that he sent her a photo of himself where he was alive in 2050, looking much older, and internet users were at a loss as to whether Sergei's tale was true. But they soon received an answer when a YouTuber named Joe Scott found that the photos were taken from a TV show called Aliens that aired in the Ukraine, and this internet mystery was finally solved. On the 10th of December 2016, 59-year-old Dale Nicholson, who was living in New Norfolk, Tasmania, on the coast of Australia, had a phone conversation with one of his friends, but he was never heard from again as he mysteriously disappeared, and he was reported as a missing person by a member of his family. At the time, investigators believed that Dale had driven his car, a 1993 Ford Falcon, to the Highland Lakes area, but his vehicle was never recovered. Searches were conducted of the lakes surrounding the area, but no sign of Dale was ever found, and it seemed like he had just vanished off the face of the earth. That is, until January of 2023, when a group of YouTubers from a channel called Down Under Dan Diving did what they do best, which is to investigate cold cases involving missing people. Using sonar equipment, the team found Dale's car submerged in the River Derwent, just 200 yards from his home. It was also discovered that Dale had been found years earlier, had it not been for the fact that his vehicle was snagged by a pine tree that kept it from being swept further downriver. It's assumed that Dale came down a hill and accidentally drove into the river. This would not have been possible nowadays, as wooden posts have been erected along the river to prevent such an event. Dale's remains were eventually extracted from the river, along with his car, and authorities were able to confirm that Dale had been found. However, it's not known what caused Dale to drive into the river. It's possible that he suffered a medical emergency while driving, or he may have merely miscalculated while en route to his house. Whatever the case may be, Dale had finally been found, thanks to a group of internet sleuths who continue to investigate missing person cases, in hopes that they can bring closure to those who are looking for answers. The theory that reality isn't quite what it seems is nothing new. Neither is the theory that we live inside a computer simulation. But if that's the case, it stands to reason that there's a possibility we might no-clip out of existence. No-clip is a phrase that originated in the gaming community, for when a player somehow finds themselves beyond where the creator programmed them to go. Usually being in that space makes the game unplayable, especially if there's no way out. But if we were to clip out of existence in real life, the solution to that problem would be even more disturbing. According to this internet urban legend, when this accidental clipping happens in real life, we end up in the back rooms. The story of the back rooms first originated on 4chan in 2019. An anonymous user posted a picture of a space that gave viewers a creepy feeling. It was simply an empty office space with yellow lighting, carpets, and walls that seemed to jut out randomly. The image alone was eerie enough before another user gave it a caption, saying, quote, "If you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it certainly has heard you." The image and the story that went with it found its way onto Reddit, and from there, the rest of the internet. Users responded by saying they felt as if they'd visited the backrooms in a dream, or they had a feeling they had visited in reality but couldn't quite remember. The horror story was solidified when YouTuber Kane Pixels posted a 9-minute found footage video of someone who accidentally clipped into the backrooms. The cameraman had been working on what looked like a student project when he fell and appeared in the backrooms. As well as the unsettling feeling that comes with a place that isn't quite familiar, there's also something else lurking in the space with him. The backgrounds is, of course, fiction, but that doesn't make the images of the endless, windowless hallways any less disturbing. It's been described as having an uncanny valley effect, but rather than it being something that doesn't quite look human, it's a place that almost looks like somewhere we've been every day, but not quite. There's places that would normally be filled with activity, which are strangely empty, and the viewer feels like there's somewhere they're not supposed to be. In the early days of the internet, urban legends that originated offline could rapidly spread and be accepted by fact by people who didn't have the fact-checking abilities we have today. With the help of the internet and a large audience who wanted the story to be true, the disturbing urban legend of the well to hell has lasted decades. The story started in 1989 in religious newsletters across the US and Norway. The legend stated that Soviet scientists had recently drilled a hole through a hollow center of the Earth in Siberia. The scientists wanted to drill deeper than anybody had before, but only reached 12,000 meters when the drill head started to spin rapidly, indicating that they'd broken through to someplace hollow. Shocked, the scientists lowered sensors into the hole and a high-quality microphone. Temperatures reached 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and the microphone recorded the sound of millions of people screaming. Most of the workers fled in panic. Those that didn't were given medication to make them forget. Later versions of the legend claim that the devil himself appeared and wrote the message, "I have conquered," in Russian into the night sky. The story was mostly spread through Christian newsletters, with more details being added from telling to telling. In 2002, the urban legend received another piece of lore when it was featured on the radio show Coast to Coast. After a brief discussion on the topic, a listener emailed in to tell of his experience with the legend. He claimed it was all true, and his uncle had collected an audio recording of the screams from a friend at BBC. The recording was roughly 30 seconds of layered screaming. The new media file helped spread the urban legend online, now with added proof. Later, internet sleuths figured out that the audio recording was looped and may have originated from an Italian horror movie. Added to the changing details and the lack of any drilling project in Siberia, the urban legend is mostly accepted as an early internet hoax, but that doesn't make the sounds any less creepy. Smile Dog is one of the classic internet urban legends that has seen a recent revival on TikTok. The disturbing cursed image is said to date back to the very early days of the internet, but the format means that every new innovation in the way we communicate leaves potential for Smile Dog to be revived. According to the urban legend, Smile Dog first appeared back in 1992 on a bulletin board. Only 400 people saw it, and most of those either remained anonymous or didn't survive to tell their tale. Somehow, an aspiring writer heard of this strange story and approached the one person who was willing to share her experience, a woman named Mary. They arranged a meeting, but when the writer arrives, Mary has barricaded herself in her room and refused to meet with them. The writer goes home disappointed, but is contacted a few days later via email. Mary explains that the image of Smile Dog has been haunting her ever since she first saw it, appearing in her dreams and urging her to spread the word. She had initially wanted to spread it to the writer, believing it would finally break her curse, but didn't want to be responsible for cursing another person. More time passes and the writer receives another email, this one with a file attached. It's the disturbing image of a dog with human-like teeth smiling at the camera. Some versions of the legend say that there's a footprint or strange red light in the background. The writer also receives the message to spread the word, which is why they decided to share the story. The urban legend is believed to have originated on 4chan, but has since been passed through every kind of forum the internet has to offer. Many different versions of the Smile Dog photo have been shared online, most of them unsettling in their own ways, all with the chain email style message to spread the word. Even more than 20 years on from when the story originated, Ted the Caver remains a disturbing legend with just enough information for people to question if it really happened. The story dates back to 2001 and the early days of personal blogs. It was shared via Ted's Caving page, a blog on the Angel Fire platform. Ted was a caving and spelunking expert living in Utah. In March of that year, he made up a post describing a strange cave he had uncovered and told his followers he would type up his journals from the past explorations of the cave. While exploring an otherwise ordinary cave, Ted and his friend Brad came across a small hole. There was wind coming from behind the wall, and it seemed like there was something on the other side. The two friends decided they would expand the hole so one of them could climb inside. Over the next several entries, the two friends expanded the hole and had some strange encounters. Brad's dog wouldn't go near the hole, even though it was fine with the rest of the cave. A strange rumbling sound could be heard, but the men brushed it off as the sound of traffic. And during every trip to expand the hole, the pair would realize the wind and rumbling had stopped and get an uneasy feeling telling them to leave. Ted eventually gets through the hole and explores the chamber on the other side. Images of the passages are shared on his blog, adding to the authenticity of this creepy urban legend. But photos from the chamber itself all came out blank. Ted describes a strange symbol with figures drawn underneath it, which is etched onto the wall. Finally, Ted describes a disturbing encounter. While alone in the chamber, he hears a scraping sound behind him and drops his flashlight. He has a wired phone connection to Brad, who's on the outside of the hole, but he can't get through. He discovers that a rock has been pushed to close the entrance to the chamber and it's crushing the wire. Ted makes his escape, but feels as if something has followed him out. At this point, he decides to create a blog to track his adventure. Ted feels that he needs to go back and find out what was in this mysterious cave. He lists the items he's taking, which include weapons and extra flashlights, and promises to report back. But this is the final blog entry. For years, people have speculated about the authenticity of the story, and what, if anything, happened to Ted. Everything from toxic fumes to mental illness to the paranormal was suggested. Ted eventually came forward and revealed that it was nothing more than creative writing. Though he was a caver and all the photos were real, the story has since been made into a film. What makes the story a long-lasting urban legend is the number of people who have disappeared while caving. Similarities to the story of Kenny Veach, a real caver who went missing while exploring for a mysterious cave, makes it seem like this could or even did happen. Every day, countless photos are uploaded to the internet. Most are mundane. Some are things that the viewer thought were strange, and according to urban legends, the wrong photo can even shut down a website. There are plenty of internet urban legends about photos being removed because they show something the government doesn't want the public to see. The subjects are often alleged UFOs or aliens found on secret government websites or taken by the user themselves. Like many urban legends, this one got its start on 4chan. On February 23, 2017, threads started appearing on various 4chan boards asking about an image that had supposedly shut the site down. The site had only just come back online after a brief shutdown, and according to these posters, an image that had been posted moments before had disappeared. According to the posters, the photo had been posted between 12 and 2 a.m. Eastern Time to the politically incorrect board. It was titled, quote, 24489, taken approximately 24 miles northwest of Luke Air Force Base, Phoenix, Arizona, Lab H4C. Those who claimed to have seen the image said it was an extremely realistic-looking alien. Speculation about a real alien photo that had shut down a website spread across the internet. Anonymous users who claimed to have seen the photo described what it had looked like. The alien was on the left side of the picture, looking to the left of the camera. It had yellow scales, prune-like eyes, and a shriveled-up mouth. The image was taken outside, and there was a tree in the background. Soon, an apparently corrupted version of the photo began to circulate. For some reason, people had noted the image title, but hadn't taken a screenshot of the photo itself. Some say that they hadn't thought the image was serious until it was taken down, while others claimed that it gave them an uneasy feeling. Many internet sleuths didn't believe the story, and got to work tracing the source of the corrupted image. It wasn't long until the alien in the photo was matched to another photo, taken of a creature in the TV show X-Files. The original creator of the image eventually came forward and confirmed it was all a hoax. He had made the plan with friends in Discord, which explained why the details of the photo's descriptions were all similar. Certain 4chan boards had gone down at about 2 a.m. on February 23rd, but this was a regular occurrence for maintenance. The user simply wanted to know how long it would take for people to figure out the truth. The fact this was proven as fake hasn't stopped the urban legend from being spread, especially among those who want to believe. In 2009, a user going by the name of U26 joined Reddit with one intention. U26 was there to inform people that a user named Religion of Peace, who was well known in a few subreddits, had passed away. People visited the post to pay their condolences, but in doing so, inadvertently uncovered one of the most mysterious internet mysteries that has ever played out on Reddit. This is the infamous story of the Lake City Quiet Pills. After the announcement post had been made, users poured to the post to pay their condolences and talk about their memories with Religion of Peace, also known as Milo. Milo had been a moderator on Reddit and told users stories of how he had enlisted in the war and liked to spend his days browsing the internet and connecting with others. After he passed, Reddit users began examining the digital crumbs left behind by Religion of Peace and U26. the latter of which only made one post on the site. Before long, they found themselves falling deep into the rabbit hole of the mystery that is the Lake City Quiet Pills. Not content with taking the story of Milo at face value, users began digging around and found a username that was similar to 2 6s on another website called FARC. From here, they found that their email was tied to a website called Lake City Quiet Pills. As users dug deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, the mystery opened up and still remains largely unsolved today. Reddit is full of internet-savvy and smart users, and these people looked into the source code of Lake City Quiet Pills. On the surface, the website appeared to be a simple image hosting board, where users could share pics and have a general discussion. However, the HTML source code revealed something very mysterious. Hidden within it read, quote, "Dispensing Lake City Quiet Pills to people in need of permanent rest since 1968. Posts began springing up across several subreddits, trying to get others to check out this mysterious website and get to the bottom of the mystery once and for all. What had started with one announcement post had now snowballed into something much larger. Soon, there was chatter that Lake City Quiet Pills wasn't an image hosting board, but a cover for something much darker. Encrypted messages were also found in the website's code, one of which read, quote, "Need formed group 810, single op, delivery bonus, gentleman's agreement, insurance, immediate need." This led users to speculate that the website and its encrypted messages were the result of men for hire, and that these messages were details of contracts. According to those who had interacted with Milo over the years on Reddit, he claimed to have had military experience and was often very private about his job and other details of his life. Another small detail that is added to this mystery is the existence of the Lake City ammunition plant that is currently owned and operated by the US government in Independence, Missouri. Could the Quiet Pills be a more nefarious reference while Lake City is a nod to the factory? There is a subreddit dedicated to uncovering more information about this elusive mystery, but as the website has now been taken down, it's likely we may never know the truth about LakeCityQuietPills.com. There's no denying that YouTube is filled with weird and wonderful content from every corner of the globe. But in 2015, a brand new YouTube channel came onto the scene that's left people baffled. The YouTube channel Unfavorable Semicircle continued throughout 2015 and 2016, uploading bizarre 5-second videos of pixels and accompanied with the voiceover of a letter or number. Some of the video titles were merely 6-digit strings, while others had the astrological symbol for Sagittarius. These videos quickly caught the attention of journalists and Reddit users alike, and within months of their initial uploads, they'd risen in popularity. As the months passed, thousands of these bizarre short videos had been uploaded to YouTube, and after the BBC published an article about the mysterious channel, it went viral. Then, just hours after the BBC article was published on February 25th, 2016, the channel was taken down by YouTube. This sparked a wave of new ideas and conspiracy theories, and even now, years down the line, we're still not sure of the truth behind one of YouTube's creepiest channels. Some people believe that Unfavorable Semicircle was akin to the channel WebDriver Torso, which used similar graphics and noises. After a lengthy investigation, it was discovered that WebDriver Torso was a channel created by YouTube in order for them to understand content delivery. Others speculated that 2 videos in particular, Lock and D-Lock, that deviated from the channel's standard 5-second videos held the answers. According to the BBC article published just hours before the channel was terminated, Lock in particular is notable for the intensity of flashing colors and unnerving warped audio, which continues for over 27 minutes. Those who viewed the channel claim to have heard a man whispering and wonder whether Unfavorable Semicircle had functioned as a modern-day number station. Number stations were used throughout World War I and World War II to transmit coded messages across the airwaves using specific frequencies and ciphers that can only be decrypted with those who hold the key. These were used by both sides of the conflict and allowed spies and those performing reconnaissance work to both send and receive messages undetected. The question was now, who would be using a number station in 2015? According to the subreddit dedicated to solving the mystery, the prevailing theory is that Unfavorable Semicircle is part of an ARG, or alternate reality game, which was terminated early thanks to its frequent upload cycle and attention from the media. Reddit users are still working towards decoding this mystery, but for now it remains unsolved. 4chan has paid host to numerous internet mysteries over the years, but none of them have been quite as compelling as the mystery behind Cicada 3301. In 2012, the X-Paranormal board on 4chan noticed a bizarre post consisting of the following message, saying, quote, "Hello, we are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a message hidden in this image. Find it and it will lead you on the road to finding us. We look forward to meeting the few that will make it all the way through. Good luck, 3301. As word spread around the internet, more and more people joined in the hunt for the truth, and after analyzing a few images and using different techniques, they were led to a phone number that was based in Texas. Upon calling the number, the caller would be greeted with the following message, saying, quote, "Very good, you've done well. There are 3 prime numbers associated with the original file.jpg image. 3301 is one of them. You will have to find the other 2. Multiply all 3 of these numbers together and add a .com to find the next step. Good luck and goodbye." When this message was decoded, a website was discovered that displayed a countdown, and once the timer ran out, users were met with the GPS coordinates to telephone poles dotted across the globe. After this clue had been revealed, 4chan users flocked out onto the streets looking for something, and then they spotted it. Taped to telephone poles were posters of a cicada with a QR code. In the background, those behind the Cicada 3301 mystery were watching and waiting, as word quickly spread about this bizarre puzzle. They waited to meet the lucky few. Unfortunately, the end result of Cicada 3301 may never be known. Shortly after the mystery went viral, those behind the hunt said that they were disappointed to see that people had worked together to solve the puzzle, instead of working as individuals. As abruptly as the game had started, it finished, without anyone ever knowing who or what was behind the Cicada 3301 mystery. Over the years, there have been numerous articles written by those who claim to have cracked the mystery, and Joel Eriksson from Sweden recalled his experience to fastcompany.com. Eriksson had relied upon information that was posted online, due to some of the clues not being accessible in his country, and he was disappointed to hear that the game had ended. When asked who he thought was behind the mystery, he said, quote, "It's most likely an underground organization, not related to any government or intelligence agency. Based on the references in their challenges and their constant reference to prime numbers and the like, they're likely intellectual, anti-establishment, ideologically driven, and they seem to be valuing logical, analytical thinking highly." This goes alongside many others who believe that Cicada 3301 was created by a government organization, or another body in order to recruit new hackers or intelligence officers. On the surface, Kanye Quest seems like a harmless internet game that takes you through a fun adventure with Kanye. However, years after its release, one user discovered something very bizarre, and thus the Kanye Quest mystery was born. Released in 2013, the game follows Kanye as he's sent into a portal that takes him to the year 3030. To progress through the levels, the player must defeat other rappers, but hidden amongst this harmless game are creepy messages and possible ties to a cult. It wasn't until 2015 that the mysterious message was uncovered by one user who was playing the game. As they were playing through, they noticed that the word ascend and messages about worshipping the based god featured heavily throughout the terminals. Later in the game, this same user came across a character that allows you to type in a command, and the character will perform it. Noticing the strong ascend messages that were spread throughout the game, the user decided to type it into the prompt and watched as something bizarre happened. A secret section of the game had been unlocked, and the user, who had remained anonymous via pastebin, claimed that using this command would then take you to a QR code and a website. According to the sources, this website is run and maintained by an Ascensionism cult, who use the website to harvest the user's IP address and any other personal information they could find. It was believed that the cult had created the game to recruit new, unsuspecting members for their own purposes. After this secret section of the game was discovered, it became popular once again on Reddit, and users scrambled to try to get to the bottom of the Kanye Quest mystery. Unfortunately, nobody has been able to get to the bottom of it, and those who actively tried to investigate it report that it's nearly impossible to find an original copy of the game. Some people have suspected that the game is either an ARG or a clever marketing tactic by Kanye's team. Either way, it appears we will never know. The Markovian Parallax Denegrit has officially been dubbed the world's oldest internet mystery, and almost 3 decades later, we're still no closer to finding out the truth. In 1996, a bizarre string of ramblings began appearing on Usenet, an early forum before the internet reached the point that it is today. The endless ramblings made little to no sense. That was apart from the subject line that simply read, Markovian Parallax Denegrit. One of the posts captured by Google posted to the alt.religion.christian.boston church user board starts with Jitterbug McKinley Abe, break Newtonian interfering caw, update Cohen air collaborate Rue sports writing, and so on, listing unrelated words. These postings quickly caught the attention of Usenetters, and people set about trying to decipher them. Unfortunately, while technology has advanced greatly in the last 25 years, our ability to decode these ramblings hasn't. According to a 2012 Daily Dot article, one of these messages with the Markovian Parallax Denegrit subject line was sent to Susan Lindauer, a journalist who was accused of working with a foreign government and was arrested. After this, Susan became the subject of many conspiracy theories, and the theories surrounding the mysterious internet messages only grew. This article brought new light to the internet mystery. However, almost 26 years later, we're still no closer to solving this mystery. Are these ramblings actually a message to be decoded, filled with intelligence information? Or is it possible that the Markovian Parallax Denegrit is a very early example of a spam bot? Until more information comes forward, the Markovian Parallax Denegrit will remain the internet's oldest mystery. A858 was an internet mystery that captured the attention of Reddit in 2012, and still has users scratching their heads to this day. The mystery actually began a year earlier in early 2011. A strange Reddit user with a name of seemingly random numbers and letters beginning with A858 posted on a subreddit of the same name. The user posted long strings of what looked like code daily. The mysterious posts would go unnoticed for about a year before Reddit communities dedicated to unsolving mysteries discovered them. Soon, a new subreddit dedicated to solving the mystery was set up. The majority of the posts on the original subreddit were extremely hard to crack. Usually, alternate reality games can be pretty tricky, but those with some experience in coding are able to solve them, so the game can progress. That was far from the case with A858. Only a handful of messages were ever solved, including a thank you message when someone gifted the user gold, an image of Stonehenge, and an excerpt from the novel Actions and Passions. While internet users were trying to solve the mystery, many were now questioning what it was. A recruitment tool, similar to the infamous Cicada 3301, was suggested. However, the A858 mystery went on for more than 5 years, compared to Cicada's 2. Others suggested it might have been a number station of some kind, while the possibility that this was all some sort of dedicated troll was also there. In 2015, someone began posting in code on solving the A858 subreddit. Users quickly figured out that this was an AMA or Ask Me Anything with A858. The code was quickly solved, and A858 answered questions about the project. However, users were left with even more questions. A858 said that there was a purpose, but that the project would end when the purpose was solved. They also said a woman from the UK had solved one of the messages, but nobody noticed. The AMA led to the A858 puzzle gaining more attention. But about a year later, a strange post in plain text was posted to the A858 subreddit by user Team W Mod. They said the project had ended, there would be no further posts, and there wasn't enough information for anyone to solve the mystery. Naturally, the people who had spent 5 years trying to solve the mystery weren't happy, and continued to try to find answers. The user behind A858 was actually doxxed, and the moderators of the Solving A858 subreddit had to step in. A few weeks after the Team W mod post, moderators from the Solving A858 subreddit announced that they had been in contact with the person behind the project. He revealed that a company had paid him to make the puzzles, but now they no longer wanted to continue. Most of the puzzles were randomly generated text, which wouldn't have made any sense even when decoded. The user said that he didn't know the purpose of the project and wouldn't reveal who had hired him, but said that they were a private organization rather than the government. They had also asked for posts like the Stonehenge post to be made to draw attention to the subreddit. This was the last real update into the story. If what the user said is true, it's unlikely this mystery will ever be solved, but even the question of why remains unanswered. If this was an ARG, why continue for so long with users unable to solve the puzzles? If this was a number station, why try to attract attention? And if this was a recruitment, did they find who they were looking for? This story began in 2015 when user Joe Likes Music made a post on the Houston subreddit. He explained that he and a coworker booked a last-minute work trip to Houston from California and stayed at Hotel Zaza, an upscale hotel in a historic building. While he was in one of the hotel's traditional-style rooms, his coworker was given a room that seemed quite disturbing. Room 322 was a third the size of the other rooms on that floor, had no carpet, and bare brick walls. But that was only where the weirdness began. The bed was chained to the wall, and creepy art was on display, including pictures of skulls and strange-looking long-necked characters. A large mirror was hung over the bed. The coworker went to the reception and was quickly put into another room after being told that room 322 wasn't supposed to be rented out. The original poster was just trying to get some idea of what the room was about. Instantly, theories about secret societies and dungeons popped up on the thread and moved over to mystery-solving sides of the website. It didn't help that the room number is often associated with the Skull and Bone Society. There were two parts of the room that particularly freaked people out. The first was the mirror, which people believed looked like a two-way mirror. The other was a portrait of Jay Camo, president of the Stanford Financial Group, found in the room. Popular news outlets like Vice investigated, and Hotel Zaza's head of e-marketing began to address conspiracy theories. They said that it was simply a jail-themed room, and that it was available to be booked even though the coworker had been told otherwise. When asked about some of the specific pictures in the room, the representative just said that they would have to look into it. Most came to the conclusion that it was just a weird themed room, but it wasn't one that was advertised. When a YouTuber contacted Hotel Zaza about the themed rooms, room 322 was never mentioned. But if requested, room 322 could be booked, and another Redditor did just that. They confirmed that the mirror wasn't, at least at the time, a two-way mirror, and the room itself was actually pretty cozy despite the creepy factors. Next door was a door to a staff room, but going through that door actually revealed a second padlocked door, which would have led to a room directly behind the mirror in room 322. It looked like this may have been more than a theme room after all. Looking at the blueprints, though, this simply led to the bathroom of 321. There's definitely still room for conspiracy theories to surround the room, or rooms, if room 321 is also involved. But the most likely explanation is that this was really just a macabre-looking room. It was the room frequently used by the hotel president, who may simply have had a taste for the macabre. The portrait of the man could be explained as a joke, as he had been involved in financial misconduct but avoided jail time. Since at least 2014, internet user MSISS006 has commented on countless forums and threads trying to find the identity of a film they watched in 2013. They have a number of very specific details about this film or TV show, but other information is very vague. According to the user, either on February 24th or August 16th, at around 2:34 p.m., he was watching TV. It may have been the Sci-Fi Channel, and the show was in English and in color. The first scene he mentions features a woman who looks like Marilyn Monroe in a skin-tight red dress. She disappears into thin air after moaning. In another scene, a man is trying to pick a lock with a keyring of lockpicks, with another woman panicking next to him. In a third scene, a man wearing sunglasses hands a weapon to a woman wearing sunglasses. The final scene is the end credits, where a woman can be heard talking to a man while the camera pans over a warehouse. The woman says whoever is watching us is testing us. Countless people have tried to help the user out with possible films or TV shows. Battlestar Galactica was a popular suggestion, but there have been many other shows, both animated and live action, that were suggested. MSISS006 just collected them all into a list, apparently unable to say whether it was even live action or animated. However, he made no effort to look into any of them, and ruled out whether or not they were the one he was looking for. He responded to some of the suggestions, and it read more like someone who knows the name of the media and is trying to make other people guess it. Later in his search, the user seems to be mostly frustrated there isn't one place to look up this sort of thing, and wants an organization dedicated to answering these strange requests. Earlier this year, the user was deleted from Reddit, where his attention seemed to be focused for the past 2 years. Most of his posts were either deleted by subreddit moderators or by Reddit itself, as it was ruled as spam, but posts on websites such as Just Answer are still up. Some have suggested MSISS006 may have some form of autism or another similar condition that's causing him to obsess over this one piece of media. Others have said something traumatic may have happened on February 24th and August 16th before or after he watched the TV show, and getting to the bottom of this mystery is a coping mechanism. The idea that he may already know the answer and wants someone else to guess it hasn't really been mentioned, but it's possible he may have been trying to find people to set up this organization to find lost media. Earlier this year, Reddit user Blue Black Jupiter turned to the RBI subreddit to try to get some answers about a disturbing mystery happening above her. The user was a Black American woman who had moved into a new apartment block in September of 2020. She'd lived in apartment blocks before and had never heard much from her neighbors. This time it didn't seem too different, as she could only hear a little bit of those living on the same floor as her, and nothing from below. But the user's upstairs neighbor seemed to want the user to know that they were there. Jupiter started to notice that her upstairs neighbor seemed to follow her around the apartment, rushing to stand directly above her, and sometimes stomping her feet to let her know that she was there. She felt like it was impossible for her upstairs neighbor to be able to hear where she was, but it was too much of a coincidence to believe the neighbor just happened to be copying her movements. The neighbors seemed to be strange in other ways. According to the landlord, she was unemployed and never left the house. She also never got any visitors. She had previously had a roommate, which she blamed when Jupiter confronted her about the stalking, but the roommate had secretly moved out at that point. Lots of other people on that floor also moved out, breaking their lease to do so. It may have been that she was a nuisance neighbor to others as well. Jupiter claims she had a psychiatric evaluation to see if this was the onset of schizophrenia, but that came back negative. She also checked her carbon monoxide detector to see if she was getting CO2 poisoning, but that was also fine. Friends that had visited also said that they had heard the stalking, so it didn't seem to be in Jupiter's head. She and her friend checked all the locations where a hidden camera could have been, but turned up nothing. Despite this, she was still sure something was going on. Another factor that made this case even more sinister was a bottle of bleach left on Jupiter's doorstep. According to her, leaving the bottle there would have required someone going out of their way, so it seemed unlikely this was accidentally dropped. The mystery of what exactly was going on has not been solved, and there haven't been any significant updates for months. We can only hope that Jupiter got the help she needed. 973 EHTNAMUH 973 is one of the strangest, creepy mysteries on the internet. The website itself has been described as one of the most mysterious sites, with hundreds of cryptic pages and little to no explanation. What at first glance looks to be the random typing of an insane person seems to have deeper and deeper meaning the longer one looks at it. While internet sleuths have tried to get to the bottom of the strange math puzzles and weird imagery, it's largely been left unexplained beyond what the site members say. The website features lots of numerology and attempts to find meaning from numbers, but also lots of mathematical problems which indicate the person behind them was very intelligent. Along with this, there are passages from the Bible and references to other religious figures, as well as surrealist images by David Denison. It was actually Denison that owned the site for a time, and the most obvious explanation is that this was some sort of strange art project. It definitely matches his surrealist art style to create something so puzzling. However, Denison passed away in 2014, and the site continues to be updated. There is a forum section of the site, which is where the weird takes a turn for the disturbing. People here seem to have an almost cult-like attitude to religion. They believe the site represents their views on life, the afterlife, and spirituality, and are very persuasive in trying to get people to see things their way. When one new user tried to get someone to explain what was going on, someone responded saying, quote, "The site is a knowledge collection, exchange and transference site, designed to promote learning, which will lead visitors onto alternative positive thought paths, and in turn will motivate them to become part of a universal mind. The amalgamation of enlightened intellectual resources that will hopefully help change the world in which we live into a better place on every level for all inhabitants of planet Earth." Whether this is an actual cult, or an ongoing piece of art, or something even stranger remains a mystery, and one that can only be answered by going deeper into the rabbit hole. In 2019, Kate Yupp uploaded a video to her channel called Two Whole Fish, Whole Giant Squid, Lobster, King Crab, Salmon, and Tuna, Raw Octopus, Scallop, Shrimp. But it wasn't the colossal amount of food that she was consuming that got the internet talking. In the video, Kate is seen chowing her way through the food in what has become known as a mukbang. Commenters were quick to notice that Kate had bruises on her arms and one on her lip, leading them to believe that she was in danger. The internet went crazy and began micro-analyzing every aspect of the video, with people theorizing that the captions were written in such a way that Kate was trying to communicate with the audience. One caption read, quote, "I'm so hungry. The meat is so delicious, soft and tender," with the letters SOS being capitalized throughout the captions. When put together, this SOS leads many to believe that Kate Yupp is in danger and may be being forced to upload these videos by whoever is holding her captive. Other attentive users pointed out that while eating, Kate taps repeatedly on the side of her bowl in Morse code, which then translates to "I need help." Users flooded Kate's comment section, asking her if she needed help, or instructing her to insert certain messages into her next video as a sign that she needed help. In a video published on October 5th, 2019, she wrote, quote, "As you can notice, I am happy. Nobody is torturing me. Oh no, I'm lying. In fact, there is people torturing me every day." In some videos, faint whispers can be heard saying, "Go, swallow it. Just eat, hurry up, fast, just eat." In her video titled "I'm Alive," the letters of the 4 sentences spell out help along with a door mysteriously opening on its own. These videos sent the internet into an even bigger frenzy, trying to figure out who Kate Yupp really was and what was happening to her. Some have speculated that Kate may be a missing woman named Carly Hughes. However, this has never been confirmed by law enforcement. Kate's last upload was on October 24th, 2019, and she hasn't been heard from since. Numerous times on her channel, she has addressed the fact that she is safe and well. However, her mysterious disappearance has left fans very concerned for her well-being. Do you believe that Kate Yupp is being forced to make mukbang videos? Or is this all an elaborate conspiracy theory? The mysterious disappearance of Maura Murray has haunted investigators and the true crime community for 17 years. Despite numerous advancements in technology and hundreds of leads, we are still no closer to solving the case. On February 9th, 2004, Maura Murray, a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts, emailed her professors telling them that she would be absent for the next week, as there had been a family emergency. The only problem was there was no family emergency. Her family later confirmed this, and to this day, we still don't know why Maura emailed her professors telling them that she would be gone for a week. After emailing her professors, Maura got into her car and headed towards New Hampshire. At around 7:30 p.m. that evening, Maura was involved in a crash and her car became stuck in a ditch. A passing bus driver asked her if she needed help, to which she declined. She also begged the bus driver not to call the police and was acting strangely. When police arrived at the scene, Maura's car was still stuck in the ditch and was locked, but Maura was nowhere to be found. In the few moments that the bus driver had returned home to call for help, Maura had mysteriously vanished. A large-scale search was coordinated to try and locate Maura. However, the searches proved fruitless. As of 2021, Maura's case remains unsolved, but her case is anything but cold. On February 8th, 2012, a channel by the name of 112 Dirtbag uploaded an ominous video titled "Happy Anniversary." In the video, an unknown man laughs maniacally before suddenly stopping and winking at the camera. The end message reads "Happy Anniversary" before the video cuts off. This video was uploaded the day before the 8th anniversary of Maura's disappearance, and several clues lead investigators to believe that the man in the video is somehow responsible. The name 112 Dirtbag holds significance in Maura's case. Her car was found along Route 112, and her father said that the person or persons responsible for Maura's disappearances were, quote, some dirtbags. Other videos from the channel show the unknown man at the place where Maura was last seen, and videos of him showing off stubs from nearby lodges and hotels that are dated around the time of her disappearance. Shortly after the video was uploaded, the channel was taken down. However, internet sleuths can't help but wonder if this video is connected to her case. Is the man in this creepy video responsible for what happened to Maura, or is it just a sick hoax? In 2019, Justin Wang posted a video titled, quote, "The Most Mysterious Song on the Internet," as part of his Tales from the Internet series. In the video, Justin explores a mysterious song that no one has been able to identify for over 37 years. A man named Darius S. claims to have recorded the song during the early 1980s while he was listening to a German radio station called NDR. Over the years, Darius used his tape deck to record his favorite songs from the radio, and eventually digitized them when cassettes became obsolete. It wasn't until 2007, when his sister Lydia came across the songs, that she uploaded short snippets of the songs to various websites in hope of identifying them. It wasn't until 2019 that the most mysterious song on the internet made its way onto YouTube, and since then it has been a hot topic of conversation. Internet sleuths eagerly sank their teeth into the mystery, believing that they would crack the case within a matter of hours. However, that has not been the case. Reddit and Discord communities have popped up with the shared aim of finding the artist and title of the song, but to no avail. There are numerous videos covering the most mysterious song on the internet, as well as videos of the song itself. If you have any theories about the song, be sure to leave them in the comments. YouTuber Benjamin Bennett took the platform by storm in 2014 when he began uploading and streaming videos simply titled "Sitting and Smiling." In these videos, Benjamin sits eerily still in front of the camera and smiles for the whole duration. What makes these videos unnerving is the fact that some of them have a runtime of 4 hours, and Benjamin remains composed and still throughout the whole video. These bizarre videos went viral as people desperately tried to figure out why Benjamin was doing this. People began theorizing that Benjamin may have been suffering from a mental illness, and these videos were a reflection of this. Others theorized that there was a much deeper meaning behind them, and that as time progressed, we would have more pieces of the puzzle to put together. During one live stream, Benjamin is sitting and staring directly into the camera when a burglar tries to enter his house. Viewers of the stream were horrified to see an unknown person push Benjamin's door open and shout "hello." The stream chat went wild, alerting Benjamin that someone was trying to enter his house. But for the entirety of the intrusion, he remained still, sitting and staring into the camera, as if nothing was happening. Once the burglar realized that Benjamin was inside and was sitting still, staring into the camera, they shut the door and left. In another instance, Benjamin urinates himself while streaming and continues to sit and smile as if nothing happened. In 2015, Vice interviewed Benjamin, and when asked the all-important question, "Why do you do this?" he responded with, quote, "I don't know. It seemed like something that the internet was lacking. It seemed like it needed to be done and nobody else was doing it." At the time of writing this video, Benjamin is still uploading and streaming on YouTube. He has moved away from sitting and smiling, and now posts 4-hour-long videos of him walking and talking. His channel has been called a performative art piece, but there is something creepy and unnerving about his content. On June 7th, 2015, Lisa Holm finished up her shift at a cafe in Sweden. Lisa had been working at the cafe throughout the summer for extra money while she was waiting for college classes to start again. After leaving the cafe, she hopped on her moped and sent a text to her father telling him that she had finished for the day and that she would be home soon. Sadly, this would be the last time Lisa's family ever heard from her, and when she didn't return home, they began to worry. At first, her family believed she may have gotten into an accident on her moped. However, after searching the local area, they found no sign of her. Her family knew that something was very wrong and immediately called the police after they failed to locate her. For days, Lisa's family waited for any updates in her case, praying that she would walk through the front door as if nothing ever happened. Sadly, for Lisa's family, that wasn't the case, and on June 12th, her body was discovered in an abandoned work shed close to her workplace. This is where Lisa's case takes a dark twist. On May 24th, 2015, a channel by the name of Lisa Holm uploaded an incredibly disturbing video titled 13. The video is only 11 seconds long, but it shows a 60-second countdown. Obviously, the video cuts off before the countdown is complete, but those who watched the video couldn't help but notice the connection to Lisa's case. Redditors pointed out that 13 days after May 24th, 2015, would be June 6th, the day before Lisa Holm mysteriously vanished. Coincidentally, the video also went viral on June 12th, 2015, the day that Lisa's body was discovered, leading people to believe that this countdown video had been a warning that had simply been drowned out in the hundreds of YouTube videos that are uploaded to the platform each day. Neregis Bylivassias was arrested and convicted for Lisa's murder in November of 2015, after his blood and DNA was found on pieces of evidence that were found at the crime scene. During the court proceedings, there was no mention of the infamous 13 video, and Bylivassias has never commented on it either. At the time of writing this, the video has over 1.1 million views, and there have been no new videos. Is this case a creepy coincidence, or was the person responsible leaving behind a trail of cryptic clues for us to follow? In an era where apps and basic Google searches can identify pretty much any piece of content ever created, it's eerie that a piece of music recorded as recently as the 1980s remains completely unknown. The so-called most mysterious song on the internet sounds like a typical 80s electronic pop song with slurred lyrics that can't be properly made out. The only thing that makes it stand out is that nobody knows who sang it, what it's called, or even when it was released. The song was uploaded to 2 sites dedicated to 80s synth pop and identifying obscure music in 2007 by a German woman called Lydia. Lydia's brother had recorded the song from a German public radio in 1984. Like many teenagers at the time, he would record the radio on a cassette deck. Among those captured were well-known hits at the time, as well as pieces of music he didn't know the background to, but liked the way they sounded. The mysterious song was one such song. He'd not heard the announcement before or after the song that would have named the artist, and couldn't even name it himself. Once Lydia released the song, it was picked up by various music fans and internet sleuths. Thousands of people have heard the song, but have been unable to come up with any answers. Even the radio DJ who played the song back in the 80s doesn't seem to be any help. When approached by Rolling Stones magazine, he said he didn't remember ever playing it. While he admitted he could have stored it away in one of the thousands of records he'd collected over the years, he had no memory of it. There have been thousands of false leads, and underground Eastern European bands from the era have been suggested, but nobody has come forward with a definitive answer. The Markovian parallax denegret mystery is often called the internet's oldest mystery, and for a good reason. Long before any random string of words posted in forums was brushed up as another alternate reality game, an unknown user posted strange messages into otherwise ordinary conversations on early internet boards. The mystery began in August of 1996 when hundreds of messages with the subject line of Markovian parallax denegret were posted in discussions about a variety of completely unrelated topics across Usenet, an early precursor to modern internet forums. The body of these messages were simply a random jumble of words and names. Unfortunately, due to the age of the mystery, most of the messages weren't archived, and only one remains today. Of course, this message made absolutely no sense, and many brushed it off as a bot. Even in the early days of the internet, there were computer programs that could automatically generate nonsensical messages like this. The programs used something called a Markov chain, a mathematical process that provides coding directives. People assumed Markovian referred to the Markov chain, and guessed the messages were some proof of concept or a prototype of a new type of chatbot. However, others thought there was more to these messages than meets the eye. The random string of words does somewhat resemble a Cold War number station, and it was hypothesized that the messages could be sending secret codes to spies. The Markovian parallax denegret messages stopped almost as soon as they had started, and there was very little to go on, so the internet soon forgot about them. However, stories about the posts resurfaced about a decade later, and the email address attached to the only post to have survived raised eyebrows. The address belonged to Susan Lindor. a controversial alleged spy who was apparently in contact with the CIA at the time of the postings and believed she knew the truth behind the Pan Am Flight 103 bombing of 1988. Lindor denied sending the messages, but her connection to the post gives conspiracy theorists another reason to believe it's more than a random jumble of words. As we no longer have the other messages, it's impossible to know if there really was anything more to this, unless the perpetrator does decide to come forward after all these years to give an explanation. 4 years ago, an anonymous user posted to a few conspiracy and technology subreddits, asking why there would be 25 to 30 identical Wi-Fi networks originating from a seemingly ordinary slab of the ground. The user was posting from Honolulu, Hawaii, where he was working as a building contractor for a distillery company. According to the user, he'd done testing with a Wi-Fi analyzer to determine the exact spot where the strange Wi-Fi signals were originating. All the networks were relatively low strength, but any changes in them were coordinated. A heat-sensing camera determined the spot the Wi-Fi was coming from was 30 degrees Fahrenheit hotter than the surrounding areas. A few Redditors commented to ask if he could connect to any of the networks, and about any possible power sources. The poster described changes to the area that had been done by the company he was working for, and said that he had since moved away. He also linked to a random eBay account, which he claimed was being run by his boss. It sold allegedly faulty electronics and is believed to have been a front for criminal activity. It later emerged that the Redditor was actually a man named Michael McSorley, who had worked for Island Distillers as a contractor for a few months. His boss's name was Dave Flintstone. According to Dave, he had no connection to the eBay account McSorley was posting about, and didn't know why his former worker had made the link. McSorley had started acting strangely after a few months in Honolulu. Around the same time, he became friends with a drug addict. Not long after, he disappeared, and a few weeks later, his father came to pick up his things. It's likely McSorley was suffering from paranoia, possibly due to substance abuse, which would explain his abrupt departure from Hawaii. However, it seems like an odd thing to make up, especially given the amount of detail he went into concerning the characteristics of the Wi-Fi signals. If the signals did exist, what exactly they were for has never been properly explained. We often think of things like cyberstalking as being a modern phenomenon, but it's actually been a problem for many internet users for decades. One such early victim was a technical writer, Cynthia Armistead. Cynthia's ordeal began in 1996 when another internet user commenting on a news board dedicated to the Atlanta area began to send her harassing messages. Despite trying to get help from the email host, Cynthia and her daughter continued to get threatening emails from the user for over a week before he told her the emails had been sent by his adult son and son-in-law, and that he was punishing them but didn't think he should be held responsible. Of course, the ordeal didn't end there, and within days, she began to receive sexually explicit emails from men who believed she was a prostitute. The emails to both her own address and that of her young daughter continued for years, but it didn't take Cynthia long to figure out where they were coming from. Someone had posted prostitution advertisements in various online spaces, urging people to contact Cynthia if they were looking for a good time, and it seemed many people were keen to take up the offer. Whenever one was taken down, another advert would pop up, both in sex-related news groups and in forums that Cynthia would frequent. It reached a point where Cynthia was no longer able to engage in online discussions without fear that someone would twist what she said and use it in another advert. The harassment didn't stay online, as Cynthia would receive threatening phone calls and emails would describe information about her real-world life, including comments about her daughter's school attendance. Over the decades, Cynthia and her family had to move to multiple houses multiple times, and she lost count of the number of times she had to change her phone number. The stalker always seemed to be able to obtain Cynthia's new number, and it wasn't until 2005 that the in-person stalking stopped. Despite the anonymity of the internet, Cynthia is certain she knows who's behind her stalking. Using her technology knowledge, she was able to determine the initial harassment had come from an IP address belonging to a man named Richard Hilliard. It was Hilliard who claimed it was his son who was responsible, but Cynthia and those who knew Hilliard in real life didn't believe the claim, and the continued harassment came from IP addresses that were all linked to him. Cynthia was able to take Hilliard to court on stalking and harassment charges, but he was cleared due to a lack of evidence, and the case officially remains unsolved. She now hosts a site about her ordeal and is dedicated to helping others who find themselves victims of cyber stalking. In June of 2011, 32-year-old Jack Ferez passed away. The death was very sudden and was caused by arrhythmia. Almost 6 months later, a childhood friend received an email from Jack's email address. It's not unheard of for technical problems resulting in emails or messages being repeatedly sent months or even years after the initial message. But the email received by Tim Hart was completely original, not one that Jack had sent while he was still alive. The short message had the subject line, "I'm watching," with the body reading, "Did you hear me? I'm at your house. Clean your attic." The comment referenced a conversation Jack and Tim had shortly before his death. According to Tim, Jack hadn't been impressed at the state of his attic and suggested he clean it. As they were alone at the time, it's unlikely anybody but Tim and Jack knew about the joke. The email scared Tim, who didn't believe anybody but Jack could have sent the message. He responded to the email, but didn't receive any response. According to his friends and family, Jack hadn't shared his passwords with anybody. Even if they had known about the conversation about Tim's attic, they wouldn't have been able to send the email. Of course, it's possible the email had been sent before Jack's passing and had been delayed for some reason. However, Tim wasn't the only person to receive an email from beyond the grave. Jack's cousin, Jimmy McGraw, also received an email sent months after Jack passed away. It read, "How are you doing? I knew you were going to break your ankle. I tried to warn you. Gotta be careful. Tell Rock for me. Great song, huh? You're welcome." Couldn't get through to him. His email address didn't work. This time, the email couldn't have been prepared before Jack's death, as Jimmy hadn't even broken his ankle until weeks after his cousin's funeral. The second part of the message referred to another cousin named Frank with the nickname Rock. According to Frank, he'd been writing a song for Jack months after his passing, but struggled with the ending. Jack apparently visited him in a dream and helped Frank finish the song. This was apparently what the message referred to. This could be a cruel prank, or worse, Jack's family trying to jump on the publicity of the initial attic email, but his family are taking the messages as a sign that their loved one is still out there looking for them. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.